is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, surveillance and illegal police presence persists in every corner of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ compound in Davao City. Cops also placed wanted posters in front of the compound, which the KOJC calls as inhumane tactics used by the communist terrorist group CPP and PNDF. Meanwhile, Filipinos have already lost their trust in the current government, according to a former presidential consultant. Their loss of trust is due to the blatant display by those in power. And Gaza's health crisis is getting worse amid the mounting deaths caused by the ongoing conflict. The Gazan Health Ministry recently announced a polio epidemic and hepatitis outbreak in the besieged enclave. I'm Frederico Velloso. Newsline World starts now. Criticism continues against President Bongbong Marcos Jr. for his ongoing pivot to America, which is pushing the country to the brink of a war, according to a geopolitical expert. Learn more in Jade Calabroso report.
Calls persist for the administration of Bongbong Marcos Jr. not to let America use the Philippines for its interest in the Indo-Pacific region. A geopolitical analyst believes the country is like a ticking bomb due to the increase in EDCA sites and Marcos Jr.'s clearly pro-American foreign policy. According to Professor Ana Marindog Uy, the Philippines could balance its foreign policy like other countries, but currently,
the Philippines is having a different stand. Parang you're creating an enemy out of Russia and China, and you're leaning to the United States, and you become like a ticking bomb.
Marindog Uy emphasized that it's clear the U.S. is just using the country for its island chain strategy or its defense perimeter in the Indo-Pacific region.
It's really all about American interests in the Indo-Pacific region, or what you call Asia-Pacific region, na magkaroon sila ng solid na foothold militarily and defense-wise in the Indo-Pacific, and makonect-connect nila yung tinatawag nilang island defense chain.
She added that the U.S. policy aims to contain China's expanding power. If you look at it, America's frequent visits to the Philippines are mostly about defense cooperation.
Why do we have to go through all these things? Why is it that mostly lahat ng pinag-uusapan natin when it comes to our relationship with the United States and even with the G7 and Japan and even Australia is all about defense and military. When in fact, kung tutuusin, wala naman talagang kalaban externally ang Pilipinas. The Philippines is really a pawn of the United States against its adversaries in the Indo-Pacific region. The possibility that the Philippines will turn out to be the Ukraine in Asia is there.
Meanwhile, after a decade of hosting 5 EDCA sites in the Philippines, since 2014, Marindog Uy believes they have not benefited the country but have instead increased the risk of danger.
Wala. So far, for me, no. Wala naman akong nakitang benepisyo ang EDCA. If in any case, a military conflict will break out in the Indo-Pacific region, may it be over Taiwan Strait or even in the South China Sea, ang unang tatamaan kasi ng retaliatory attack against Americans is the Philippines kasi nasa atin ang EDCA bases.
Recently, Russian President Vladimir Putin threatened to redeploy short and intermediate range missiles in response to the U.S. deploying nuclear-capable missile systems which were first stationed in the Philippines. Putin was referring to the Typhoon mid-range missile system used in the Balikatan exercises in North Luzon last April under the 1987 Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. The United States and the former Soviet Union agreed to eliminate and stop producing missiles with ranges of 500 to 5,500 kilometers. This was done to avoid the threat of nuclear war. However, the Typhoon has a range of over 1,000 kilometers. China also warned that having such systems in the Philippines would worsen regional tensions and trigger a nuclear arms race. Meanwhile, the Philippine Army earlier stated that the missile system might stay in the country but did not specify for how long. For God and my beloved Philippines, this has been Jade Calabroso, SMNA News.
Meanwhile, for Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte, the case filed against him by former Senator Antonio Trillanes III is actually a welcome development. MJ Mondaha will give us more details.
Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte remains calm regarding the new allegations from former Senator Antonio Trillanes. Trillanes has filed drug smuggling and graft charges at the Department of Justice on Wednesday against the young Duterte and 5 other co-accused individuals. Included are attorney Man Scarpio, husband of Vice President Sara Duterte, former Customs Chief Nick Faldon, and other personalities. Trillanes, a prominent critic of the Duterte family, alleges that the accused were involved in the importation of shabu in May 2017, valued at 6.4 billion pesos. Instead of retaliating, Congressman Duterte sees the case as a welcome development. In his July 31st statement, Congressman Duterte said it's better to discuss the issue in court rather than through Trillanes' frequent attacks on social media. Duterte then called Trillanes a confused and ineffectual soldier. The former presidential son claims that the accusations from the former senator are baseless, labeling these as fabricated cases to outright deceive the public. The congressman also called Trillanes' actions a trial by publicity against him and the Duterte family. With that, former Davao City Councilor Danny Deanghirang agrees with Congressman Duterte's comments, especially since they were part of Vice President Sara Duterte's core group during the 2022 campaign. Deanghirang says Davao residents are dismayed by the current situation of the Duterte family, a family that's been instrumental in Davao City's change and development.
Oo, definitely. Definitely. Kaya kahit paano may mga pocket of resistance pa rin, ano? Kahit may mga rallies na nangyayari, pero karamihan, alam mo, iba dyan umiiyak na eh. Hindi natin akalain na ganito.
With that, Congressman Duterte will be following up all of these libel cases filed against Trillanes in the coming days ahead. For Government of Philippines, MJ Mondeha, SM9 News.
According to a former NTF-ELCAC official, the public now hates the police due to their abuse of power. Meanwhile, Filipinos have also lost the trust in the current government because of such abuses. Here's the report from Omar Fusuelo.
During the previous administration of former President Rodrigo Duterte, he strictly instructed the national police to do their job and provide the public with a safe, orderly, and peaceful country. Former President Duterte's promise to the Filipinos of being able to walk safely at night was fulfilled and felt by every citizen due to the cooperation and service of the police. Because of this, the public's trust and respect for the police were restored. However, with the entry of the Marcos administration, the Philippine National Police or PNP suddenly changed under the leadership of Romel Marbil. This was after the horrific raid conducted by PNP staff and PNP CIDG in full battle gear on the religious compounds of the Kingdom of Jesus Christ or KOJC. The said illegal attack was witnessed by millions of Filipinos. The ongoing abuse of disrespect shown by the PNP towards the KOJC members fueled the anger of Filipinos. Instead of correcting their wrongdoings, the police, under the leadership of Romel Marbil, continued to add their mounting transgressions. This time, they targeted the second highest leader in the country, no other than the Vice President Sara Duterte. Marbil reduced the Vice President's security by removing her loyal and long-time security personnel, which caused concern among citizens as it could endanger the Vice President's life. According to former CPP and PNDF cadre and intelligence officer Jeffrey K. Eric Celis, Marbil is not performing his duties in the PNP because he is being used for political maneuvering.
Marbil is not promoting the highest professional standard for the Philippine National Police as a professional law enforcement organization. Marbil is promoting patronage politics, transactional politics like an armed goons na hindi dapat ginagawa sa PNP.
Ka-Eric feels sorry for the good cops who are affected by Marbil's misconduct.
Kawawa ang mga matutuwid at matitino na mga opisyal ng PNP na nadadamay dito sa unprofessionalism, unethical conduct na ginagawa ng Chief PNP na ito.
For former NTF-ELCAC spokesperson Dr. Lorraine Badoy, Marbil is the reason why Filipinos now hate the PNP.
So, makikita mo na itong Marbil na ito ang rason kung bakit maraming tao ngayon kinamumuhian at nawawala ang tiwala sa PNP.
Geopolitical analyst Herman Camentong Laurel stated that the declining trust ratings of the police are a result of Bongbong Marcos Jr.'s leadership.
It's all part of the incompetence ng administrasyon po ni Bongbong Marcos at yung mga prioridad na hindi po natin maintindihan. Napakalungkot po that this is happening.
Former presidential consultant Jose Alejandrino believes the current administration under Bongbong Marcos is acting unjustly, leading to a loss of public trust due to the abuse of power.
There is so much injustice being done by this government. That is why the trust rating of Bongbong Marcos has fallen and will continue to fall. Because they no longer believe in this government.
For God and my beloved Philippines, Almar Forzuelo, SMNI News.
Up next, Hamas top political leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in a pre-dawn airstrike. Haniyeh was supposed to attend the oath-taking ceremony of Iran's new president. However, Hamas and Tehran later confirmed his assassination, blaming Israel for his death. And Indonesia's president-elect and Russian President Vladimir Putin meet in Moscow for high-level talks. More news when Newsline World returns. Iran's new president was sworn as Iran's 9th president and vowed to focus on the country's economic development, national interests, and improving citizens' lives. Melchizedek Cadiz reports.
Masoud Pezeshkian was sworn in as Iran's 9th president in a ceremony held at Tehran's parliament. The ceremony saw attendance from high-ranking officials, military commanders, and representatives from 88 countries and 10 international organizations. After taking oath, Pezeshkian outlined his administration's goal, focusing on Iran's economic development, national interests, and improving citizens' lives. He also announced his key foreign policy objectives aimed at safeguarding national security and enhancing economic prosperity within the framework of dignity, wisdom, and expediency. Meanwhile, Pezeshkian condemned Israeli actions in Gaza, criticizing bombings that affected civilians, including women and children, and those who supported such actions. He affirmed Iran's commitment to fostering friendships with friendly countries and enhancing relations with them. As for Western countries, he urged them to recognize reality and engage in dialogue with Iran based on mutual respect.
ما قدر دوستان روزهای سختمان را خواهیم دانست. با بازیگران نوظهور در جنوب جهانی روابطمان را تحکیم خواهیم کرد. برای تثبیت دوستی و مودت با همسایگان شرقی و حوزه فرهنگی فارسی زبان تلاش خواهیم کرد. کشورهای غربی را به درک واقعیت‌ها و ایجاد روابط مبتنی بر احترام متقابل و جایگاه برابر فرا می‌خوانیم. و آماده ایم مدیریت تنش با دولت‌هایی که هنوز شأن و جایگاه ایران را درک نکرده‌اند گفتگو کنیم.
Addressing unilateral sanctions imposed by the United States and the West, Pezeshkian asserted that normalizing economic and trade relations between countries is Iran's inalienable right. He vowed to continue efforts to lift the oppressive sanctions imposed by Washington against Tehran, while stressing that his country will never yield to the coercion, pressure, and double standards of the West. At 61, Pezeshkian won Iran's presidential elections on July 6th and was officially endorsed by Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei as the country's president on Sunday. Pezeshkian now has 15 days to submit his proposed cabinet to parliament for approval. Reporting from Kuwait, I am Melchizedek Cadiz, your global citizen correspondent for God and for our beloved country, the Philippines.
Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in the Iranian capital Tehran, as confirmed by Iran's Revolutionary Guards Force and Hamas. David Lira reports.
Ismail Haniyeh, the second in the command of the Iran-backed militant group, was killed in an overnight strike alongside his bodyguard while in Tehran for the inauguration of Iran's new president. This incident marks a significant and dramatic blow to Hamas and ignites fear of a wider war in the region, as Haniyeh was Hamas' most prominent public figure leading its political operations. Hamas said Haniyeh's death will take the battle to new dimensions and have major consequences. Hamas has accused Israel of orchestrating the attack on Haniyeh. The group claims that the assassination was a deliberate targeting by Israeli forces. Meanwhile, Israel's military has not confirmed involvement in the incident. However, senior Israeli officials have previously committed to eliminating Hamas leadership following the group's attack on Israel on October 7, 2023. The Israeli military later indicated that it was conducting a situation assessment. This has been David Lira, your global citizen correspondent for SMNI News.
Just last week, former U.S. President and now presidential candidate Donald Trump told a crowd of supporters that they won't have to vote again. This sparked outrage and raised questions, especially among Democrats. But what did Trump really mean when he said this? Let's find out in Sara Santos' report.
I don't care how, but you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote. Just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed. It'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
Questions were raised, and former United States President Donald Trump garnered violent reactions after making this statement at a Turning Point Action Summit in Florida last week. There he told a crowd of Christians that they won't have to vote anymore after the upcoming presidential election on November 5th. In fact, Trump's choice of words were labeled authoritarian and anti-democratic by Democrats. The former president told the crowd that if they wanted to save America, then they should vote together with their families, friends, and everyone they know. But in an interview with Fox News on Monday, Trump clarified what his remarks meant. He said it's true that Christians won't have to vote again because the said group is known for not taking part in elections. Trump stressed that he is simply urging the Christians to vote in the upcoming election, but after this, they won't need to vote again as he will no longer need their votes. The 22nd Amendment of the U.S. Constitution states that their presidents are limited to 2 4-year terms, a provision designed to prevent any president from holding office indefinitely. Meanwhile, it can be recalled that Trump's spokesperson said his remarks were about uniting the country and bringing prosperity to every American. Reporting, this has been Sara Santos, SMNI News.
The death toll in Gaza brought by the conflict between Israel and Hamas continues to rise alarmingly amid a polio epidemic and hepatitis outbreak in the enclave. Grater Wamori reports.
Ongoing Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip have killed about 39,400 Palestinians and injured 90,996 others since October last year. These attacks, according to the Gazan Health Ministry, have also triggered massive hepatitis outbreaks due to desperate sanitary conditions caused by the Israeli attacks and blockade. According to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, nearly 40,000 cases of hepatitis have been recorded in Gaza since the start of the Israeli war on October 7, 2023. Aside from a hepatitis outbreak, Gazan health authorities announced a polio epidemic in the enclave. They blamed Israeli military operations for damaging sanitation and medical systems, which precipitated the spread of polio and hepatitis. According to the Health Ministry of Gaza, polio had already been eradicated in Palestine for years. However, the virus has once again been detected in wastewater in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza and central parts of the Strip, posing a health threat to residents of Gaza and neighboring countries. To recall, the World Health Organization recently reported that its researchers have found the polio virus in 6 sewage samples collected in Khan Yunis and other places in the Gaza Strip. The international health body expressed extreme concern about the situation. Last week, WHO announced it would send more than 1 million doses of the polio vaccine to Gaza to vaccinate children in the coming weeks. Reporting from Dubai, I'm Gratero Amor, your Global Citizen Correspondent for SMNA News Channel.
Brazilian gymnasts secured a bronze medal after a dramatic and historic performance at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Andrea de Souza tells us more.
Brazilian gymnastics Rebeca Andrade, Flávia Saraiva, Jade Barbosa, Júlia Soares, and Lohane Oliveira secured a bronze medal at the Paris Olympics, marking a significant milestone for Brazil. The team clinched bronze in the final vote, establishing Brazil among the powerhouses on the global stage in artistic gymnastics. Rebeca Andrade's final score of 15.100 on a flawlessly executed change voted the team from 6th place to the podium, surpassing China, Canada, and Great Britain. Despite a challenging start, with Flávia Saraiva suffering a severe fall during the warm-up that resulted in a deep cut on her eyebrow. The team demonstrated remarkable resilience. Flávia, although bleeding heavily, continued to compete, exemplifying the team's determination and grit. The Brazilian team began on their weakest apparatus and initially placed 4th after the first rotation. They dropped to 6th after the balance beam and floor exercises. However, Rebecca's final vote performance dramatically elevated their standing, securing the bronze medal. The team's triumph is a testament to their hard work and dedication, inspiring future generations of Brazilian athletes. I'm André de Souza, your Global Citizen Correspondent for SMNI News.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Son. The Word of God is the most important thing and factor in the life of an individual. That's all for this edition. For more news update, you may visit smnichannel.com or follow us on our official social media account on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. God and Country, I'm Frederico Velloso, and this is Newsline World.